like that, Phil, we're ready.
We are live, Armin.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome everyone to the April 21st, 2022 meeting of the University Advancement and External Affairs Committee of the University of Rhode Island, Trustees. The committee is meeting in person with some members participating remotely. Public access to the meeting is available via, let's get rid of that. Public access to the meeting is available via YouTube video platform. At this time, I will conduct a roll call attendance to determine if a quorum is present. Please clearly respond present when your name is called. Christine Heenan is absent. Armin Sabatoni, I'm here. Courtney Nicolato. Courtney?
They're just wrapping up the executive committee meeting, so she's not here yet.
All right, okay. Vahid Oljazayeri.
Present.
Okay. Barbara Cottom. Dennis
She's not here
Duffy.
yet.
Here.
Okay. Margot Cook. Michael McNally.
No.
Mark Delange. I know some of them are in another meeting, so we'll continue. I can't declare a quorum yet. We need 6 out of 10, but we are able to continue with the business at hand. I need to remind all the members, for the benefit of our virtual audience and the note takers, please clearly identify yourself whenever you comment, make a motion, or second a motion. I take great pleasure at this time to welcome Dennis Duffy to the committee. Dennis is a member of the Rhode Island Council on Post-Secondary Education and was recently appointed by the Governor McKee to serve as the council chair. As such, he is now a member of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees. Dennis is General Counsel and Vice President of Energy Management, Inc. He is also an adjunct professor at Boston College Law School and a director of the Slater Technology Fund. Dennis was previously a partner of the law firm of Partridge, Snow and Hahn, and is a graduate of Columbia Law School and the University of Rhode Island. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you.
The first order of business is the acceptance of the agenda, and the chair would ask that someone would make a motion to accept the agenda for today.
Excuse me, if I may, but actually, we don't have a quorum, so we can't have a vote yet.
Well, you can too. Well, we're going to at least take them, and we'll see as the meeting
It's a
goes
good
on.
point, Armin. You're a minute.
Okay, do I hear it as a motion?
So move, Vahid Oljazayeri.
Second? Do we have a second? All right.
I don't know what I'm voting on.
The minutes are last.
Oh,
Yeah, I did read those. Second.
I think this is actually the agenda.
The agenda.
Oh, the agenda.
That one too. I just second that one.
Can you identify yourself? Who's come in since roll call?
This is Courtney Armand.
Okay. Courtney, you can give me a second.
I can give you a second.
All right. A voice vote is in order. All in favor, say yes.
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 Okay. I got a big group here today. Okay. All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Okay. If we need to take this vote later and we don't have a quorum, we will move on. The next agenda item is the meeting minutes of April 21st, 2022. Can I hear a motion to accept?
This is Courtney. So moved.
Okay, can I hear a second? Fahid, you in the room?
Second, Vahid Oljazayeri.
All right. Well, let's try and we'll see if we can clean this up later. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, we'll say no. Hearing none, the motion will pass. Okay, there's approval in the minutes. Okay. Okay, next order of business is let's do a The next items, there are no action or votes required, therefore discussion purposes only. And the first item is item A on discussion items under topic 3, the annual review of the University Advancement and External Affairs Committee Charter. And as you're all aware, we all have our own charter based on every committee. It comes up on every April meeting as to whether or not there are any deletions or amendments, or if anyone has any ideas as to broaden the mission and responsibility and purpose of this particular committee. Does anyone want to discuss any amendments or deletions or any other ideas they have relative to our committee? Okay, I got a very cooperative committee and I have none, so we will move on. In conjunction with that, we also, based on the agenda that has to be given out because of the open meeting laws, we have our next meetings after today and tomorrow, which will be the full board. We have our 2 meetings on June 23rd and 24th, September 22nd and 23rd, November 3rd and 4th. The committee meetings on June 23rd, September 22nd, November 3rd, and the full board meetings on the 24th, September 23rd, and November 4th. Does anyone have any discussions at all or any ideas as to whether or not we should continue having the committee meetings the day before the board meetings, and the board meeting being the second day? Now, before I hear any discussion on that, I think that our chair was going to talk about this in the general session about dates and how we would go forward doing these meetings. But notwithstanding that, does anyone have any comments relative to how the meetings are presented? Again, very cooperative
Hey,
board.
Armand, Armand,
Yes,
this is Courtney. We just had executive committee, and talked a little bit about this, and we'll talk a little bit more in governance, but the hope and aspiration is that we would have committee meetings within the week of the board meeting, so that we could use, the board meeting time to add a little bit more discussion, into our calendar. And so I know that we're going to talk more about it tomorrow, but just to give you some perspective, I think the hope is to make committee meetings virtual within the week before, and then have the option of in-person and virtual for the full board meeting.
yeah, okay. And I know Margot's going to talk about some of this, Courtney, but, I felt the same way. I
Yeah.
felt the same way that, we should have this way. It's a little more in advance. Even today, obviously, I'm filling in as vice chair, but some of the information just got to me recently, but that's okay. We're still going to fulfill our obligations here. And that's what I had thought. They should be a lot separate from the actual major board meeting, if more things we can think about and develop continued ideas. So good comment. Anyone else before I move on? Okay. Section C is the update of our legislative and government relations. Today we'll have Carlos Lopez Estrada reporting to, as well as Lauren Burgess. They're both directors of our legislative and government relations. Lauren handling mostly our federal lobbying, and Carlos in our state. And Carlos and Lauren, are you in the room?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it to which one. It looks like, who wants to go first? Just start up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sabatoni, and thank you to the members of the Board of Trustees, President Parlange, and to the Rhode Islanders that are watching us via remote access. Thank you for being here. My name is Carlos Lopez Estrada, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for the University of Rhode Island, and I focus on state, municipal, and local matters. We're here to give an update on the proceedings since our last Board of Trustees meeting. And my partner here, Lauren, focuses on the federal matters that are affecting the university. And our government relations team really has been working hard on behalf of the university, and we're happy to provide this report. At the state level, one of the major accomplishments that we've had legislatively is the signing of the remote legislation that allows meetings such as this to occur remotely. The average Rhode Islander will not see a difference. It allows us to have a meeting just like this in person, and then have some of our board members who are all over the country to actively participate. And us being Rhode Islanders allows people in Rhode Island to stay home and watch the proceedings and participate as much or as little as they wish. And they don't have to travel all the way down to campus to participate in this proceedings. So that's a big accomplishment because it allows the university and the board of trustees to conduct their business in an effective manner, and allows for public participation by whomever wants to participate, whether they come to the meeting in person or they do it remotely in the comfort of their home, their office, or using any smart device that allows them to log in to observe the proceedings. On behalf of the university, I do want to thank our legislative leaders at the State House for helping us shepherd this legislation through, and thank the governor for signing it in a timely manner into law. This is a big step for the university, and it's going to allow us to operate more efficiently and in a better, more transparent way that allows the public to participate. So that's one of the big accomplishments that we started with this year. And then I'd like to hand off to my partner here, Lauren, who can focus on the federal accomplishments we've had since our last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you to this subcommittee. As mentioned, since we met and last briefed the subcommittee, we have had some major legislative accomplishments at the federal level in the form of congressionally directed spending, or this commonly referred to as earmarks. And URI was successful in securing millions of dollars for specific projects that are happening just at URI, whether these are partnerships where we're leveraging the Department of Defense, or activities that relate to the larger priority on the blue economy. So that was a major success, and that piece of legislation was finalized and passed into law in March as well. And so the process is actually underway for the next fiscal year. And the URI government relations team is working on advocating for additional federal projects, some building off of the success. We recently had some new ones that have been identified by priorities by President Parlange. So we're pleased to report that back to the subcommittee. Next slide, please. So in addition to these early legislative accomplishments, the URI government relations team has had constant advocacy activities identified and prepared for President Parlange with both state and federal officials. And the focus here is really on increasing support for our 2021-2022 URI legislative agenda. So just to remind this subcommittee, that includes URI's proposal for American Rescue Plan money, that's through the state, increasing state support and funding for URI's annual budget. And then, of course, at the federal level, it's to increase funding and support for a variety of projects that are research related, but also student aid related. And so what the next two slides really demonstrate is the activity that President Parlange has been involved in both federal and state level. What you'll notice is that it has been near constant activity. And this has been really critical to advancing the larger agenda we have. So we can switch to the next slide as well. So we'll just put this up here so people can take a look. We don't have to go through each one, but just give you a sense of the variety of different activities that have been ongoing, many of which have been happening on this in the Narragansett Bay campus and the Kingston campus, as well as at the State House with testimony on legislation of consequence to the university. And then, of course, President Parlange did spend some time in Washington, D.C. meeting with the delegation, but also Secretary Raimondo to talk about those big federal priorities in the blue economy. So I think we can advance to the next slide. And I'll hand it back to Carlos.
Thank you, Lauren. So as we look forward to the next couple of months, that's when things are really gonna get intense at the State House as the budget starts getting finalized and the priorities start getting decided upon. We're going to ask our Board of Trustees to help us get this across the finish line. We're gonna leverage the board's experience, connections, networking, in order to advocate for the priorities that have been identified. We want to assure everybody we have a plan. We're executing that plan, and we're really following the vision of the Board of Trustees and President Arlange in order to move the university forward. So we're gonna look at people on the board to network with their connections at the State House, at the federal level, to help advocate for the university. We're also gonna ask people to participate in some meetings, you know, either at the State House or at different functions in order to advocate for the university there. And then in terms of communication, we have a strategic plan, a strategic agenda in which we're going to work with the Board of Trustees to effectively communicate to our state leadership about the priorities of the university and how they can help us move the university forward. So, like I said earlier, our government relations team really has been working nonstop during this legislative cycle, and we are seeing the fruits of our labor. People at the State House and the buzz at the State House is, wow, URI is really aggressively going after things. URI is really on people's minds. People are talking about the university, and that's a good thing, because if we're being spoken about and talked about in conversations, that means people are thinking about us. And if they're thinking about us, they're thinking about our priorities. So on behalf of Lauren, myself, and our government relations team with Panone Lopes, Devereaux, and O'Gara, who are our lobbyists on the ground, I want to say thank you to everybody for your support. And if we have any questions, please feel free. We're here to answer them. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions of Lauren or Carlos? Well, I want to make a comment. I want to make a comment that Lauren, Carlos, and our president, Mark Belange, has done an unbelievable job with the legislature by lobbying our issues and also by the testimony that's been given by our president and other members of the University of Rhode Island. I think that Carlos and Lauren have said it well. They have definitely set the table for the University of Rhode Island. They not only talk and spoke to everyone within the Senate, the House, and the governor's office, but between both of them and our president, they gave them field trips to see what they were asking for and why it was so important with the Bay campus and other parts of the university, to see firsthand how the University of Rhode Island was growing, the good quality education that we all know that we give each and every day, the good faculty that we have, and actually showing why it's so important that we need to do continued renovations and building, and that all takes money. I think Carlos said it well too. We are the buzz of the State House right now. They have never been lobbied like they have been lobbied this session. And it's so appropriate because they have the ARPA money, they have the general bonding that they can raise this year for the GO bonds for construction. And I think we're in place as good as any other entity that has lobbied for all that money at the State House. So Carlos and Lauren are correct. Right now we're at crunch time. Right now they're probably waiting for the returns from the department that receives all the tax to see if there's even more money that they can deal with right now. And so over the next 2-3 weeks, we should know how we fared there. So again, my compliments to Lauren, Carlos, the president, and everyone else that, and yourselves that all have supported and lobbied on your own for the best interest of the University of Rhode Island. They see us not only as a quality education facility right now, but they've also been convinced that we are a job creator. We're a job creator with all the different programs that we have going at the school. That resonated with them, and we hit a home run with that. So again, thank you for all your efforts. Are there any other questions or comments on where we are with lobbying efforts? Yes?
I'll just add the importance of us continuing to tell the URI story. I think that I know I've had numerous conversations, and I've talked to Carlos about this with legislators and others who have said, well, you know, URI is a school for New York and New Jersey students, and they don't stay here. And I'm like, no. Let's have a broader conversation. So I think continually showing and really giving firm examples of how URI is changing and growing economic development in our state, how we're continually, I think that is a story that needs to be repeated more often than I think we give ourselves credit, quite honestly, at the university. And so I think the more we can do that, the more we can directly connect growth in our state, job opportunities, workforce training, et cetera, to the University of Rhode Island. I think the easier job Carlos and Mark and Lauren will have. But it needs to be married with really strong communications and marketing.
And Courtney, I think you're so right there. I think, yeah, we got a lot of students in New Jersey, New York, but right now we've got close to 70,000 alumni living and working in the state of Rhode Island. I think that was Mike McNally's idea originally. Why don't we find out, you know, how many we have registered to vote in the state? We've got a close to 70,000 alumni that have stayed from other states once they saw the beauty of Rhode Island after they got a good education. So that's important.
Armin, this is
Yeah.
Bill. I just want to say that your point's excellent about getting word out, and Courtney, and we have an emerging economic impact statement, which we contracted for, that we're fine tuning, and that will really demonstrate dollar for dollar how many dollars we generate for the state with the dollar investment. And so we're literally going to be working closely with Linda's team from our advancement perspective to get that out to the right constituencies. Thank you.
Yeah, yes. And you know what, we're going to segue, if there any other discussion on the lobbying efforts, marketing efforts, okay. That'll segue right into Lil, which is section D on the update, big ideas, bold plans, the campaign for the University of Rhode Island and the presidential introduction event. So Lil, you're up.
Thank you.
And Armand, we have
Yes.
Marco here, so we do have a quorum now. Is it okay if we do the vote so that if Margot needs to head out, she can?
Yeah, you know what we'll do? We'll finish the section D and C of the agenda, and I'll go back to the two votes of the minutes in the agenda. We'll do that right after we finish.
We'll fly.
Okay, go ahead, Lil.
Thanks, Armin. It's nice to see everyone, and I want to acknowledge, also joining the call is Al Varecchia, the chair of our University of Rhode Island Foundation Alumni Engagement Board of Directors, and Diane Fannin, who is a member of the executive committee and chairs our marketing committee. And they always try to join these, so we make sure we're all in alignment with our efforts to advance the university. We are in a campaign. That's not news. It's all going well. Big ideas, bold plans. You can get to the next slide. And I'm a scuba diver, but that's not me. Maybe I should do that. The next slide, I would have to do that. So at any rate, next slide, what I want to do is remind you of our pillars, the 5 pillars for the campaign: student access, that's scholarship dollars, URI learning experience, transformative faculty leadership. We talked about endowed chairs and professorships before. That's an ongoing, very important need for the university. Innovative and distinctive programs. These are the opportunities and institutes like the Ryan Institute and other program areas. And then strategic opportunities. This is unrestricted dollars that give the university the ability to apply dollars to opportunities that come in the door. And that's something we're really focused on. That's our unrestricted giving. In the next slide, I thought it would be helpful if I gave you some illustrations of some of the types of gifts that we've received within these 5 pillars. So the first one is student access. We recently received an endowed scholarship for non-traditional students who need to work part-time. So that's the new future for higher ed, right? We have diminishing number of 18-year-olds, either not only from Rhode Island, but other states who are going to come and have that typical 4-year experience. We have the program Finish What You Started. We have a lot of folks in the state of Rhode Island who have some college degrees, but not finished. And so we're very committed to that. So for an alum to see that as a need, that's, we're raising a lot of scholarship money, but to have something focused on non-traditional students who need to work is really an enlightened perspective on who our future students will be. URI Learning Experience, we are very lucky to have great support from the Champlin Foundation, based in Rhode Island. Every year they come in and hear presentations from faculty, curated by Corporate and Foundation Relations, and we receive close to 600,000 a year. So the past few years, over 3 million for research equipment. And that allows a researcher at GSO to order some robotic equipment and that kind of thing. So that has direct impact on faculty research, and we're really grateful to Champlin. Transformative faculty leadership. An example is Charlotte Metcalf gave a generous gift to the Metcalf Institute to support leadership position for that institute to strengthen their work in educating the press about climate change and the threat of climate change. And then innovative and distinctive programs. We have an alumni couple, Lauren and Jay Hart. They give to our disability program to make sure our students who are on campus who have a disability are receiving the appropriate and necessary services. That's a very, very important part of campus life, even increasingly through COVID. And then strategic opportunities. How do we support our student veterans? Well, we've got an alumni couple, and they started an endowed scholarship for students in our ROTC program, pursuing a U.S. Army commission for the Medical Service Corps. So that's something they participated in. They're very proud of. We have a very active alumni ROTC program, and often veterans who are starting school or returning to school need that extra support to fulfill their goals. So thank you. Then I want to give you the numbers. We're at 230.6 million towards our updated goal. Last October, we went from 250 million to 300 million. Sometimes at 2 a.m, I think, who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
And then I realized it was my idea.
Bill, it was you.
I know. I go, wow, we did that. So we're on a good track. And as you can see, we've got a good mix of deferred gifts, meaning people named us in their will, and as well as pledges. These are normally 5-year pledges, and then cash outright gifts. Next slide, please. And then this will show us what we've raised for Rhody Now. Just remember, Rhody Now is formerly what was called the annual fund, which meant nothing. What does that mean? Rhody Now is we spend it now and has immediate impact. And we've raised over 16 million for that. And when Jeff gives some color commentary, he can give you an update on where we are with that. Endowed gifts, we've increased the endowment markedly through endowed gifts, and then capital improvements. Those are for the bricks and mortar for bricks and mortar projects. Next slide. So the trend line, we have consistently remained above the trend line, and at some point we will dip below it. That's just the way campaigns run. But the campaign will run till June 30th, 2024. And this shows where we are as of this week. So we're plodding along. Next, thank you. Engagement. We finally got to take President Pralanj on the road, and we were so happy to be able to do that. And we, in a series of cities, we visited. He gave a program. We engaged over 450 alumni and friends. And we'll get them to the West Coast in the fall, but people were hungry to engage and meet each other. And just flip to the next one. We've got some great photos. I want to thank Margot Cook, who attended the first one in Palm Beach and gave a great introduction to Mark. And then we were in Naples And the next one is just more pics. There's Al and Jerry with us in Washington DC, upper left. Right, Lori White introducing Mark in Providence, and then Neil Kerwin with us in Washington DC. So we had some, and Christine Heenan in Boston. We had some great trustee engagement with that event. And in the fundraising world, dollars follow engagement. And so we are always trying to fill the pipeline. And I'll just mention that for this campaign to date, we have 29,631 donors. And of course, we're going to get north of 30,000. But engagement's key. We just launched a new volunteer portal, which we will demonstrate at a future meeting for people to see. And then we also are working with all of our boards. We'll make sure all of our foundation board, the board of trustees, all of our committee members, 100% are donors to the university. That's a really important message when we go to talk to foundations, particularly. They want to know, is your volunteer leadership leading the way with their philanthropy? I want to thank Jeff Cabral for being here. Jeff's Vice President for Development. He met many of you in the last meeting that was in January. Yeah, January. He started with us in October. So Jeff's got some good stats to share, and then we can open the floor to questions.
So first of all, I'll just mention that there's Lauren and I in the bottom left there.
Yeah, there you go. After a day on the hill.
After a day of meetings, but we have such great partners in Lauren and Carlos in a seamless relationship between communications and government. So we appreciate that. So when we talk about building the pipeline, not only to finish this campaign strong, but looking at the next campaign, I can share that we're at 5,300 donors to Worthy now this year, which is a 17% increase over last year at this time. So that's a great indication of where we're at about $2.2 million in security gifts at Worthy now. It's 2.5. It looks like a month ago we were a little nervous. It looks like we're going to reach that goal. So that's a really wonderful stat. Hot off the presses, we have 502 Oliver Watson Society members, which is amazing during the course of this campaign. So those are individuals who have stated that we're in their estate plan. So that's wonderful. This year alone, $8.4 million in request expectancy. So that's a wonderful figure. We hope to get to 10.5. I think we're going to surpass that this year. We have a few gifts coming in at the table. So lots of activity. It's been a great semester.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions? Ideas?
What kind of feedback have you gotten at the events?
Anything additional for Lil?
Yeah, Margo just was asking me about feedback from the events, and very positive. People really wanted to see each other and be out, and nice buzz, and people really liked meeting Mark and Mary. Got to a few of the sessions, and they liked his presentation. He did a PowerPoint with great photos, and was just sort of guided the conversation, and he was engaging and funny, and showed a clear vision of where we're going to head and strong aspirations for the institution. So it worked very well. It was a great partnership with all the units of several units of universities. It was good.
Were the attendees active URI alums or a mix?
The good news is, particularly in Providence, there was a lot of new people. And in New York City, we were really pleased. I will say in Florida, in Naples and Palm Beach, a few new folks, but mostly known folks, but particularly in New York and Providence, we were thrilled to see some new faces. So people were curious, and it worked.
New York was a pretty diverse group. Some great parents were there that had never attended an event. So felt like there was a lot of momentum in New York.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lil. I just want to take one moment, though, to just take personal privilege and do a shout out to Alfred Verrecchia. Alfred, I want to thank you for your loyalty and your dedication and support all these years for the University of Rhode Island. Still with the foundation today, and I, for one, in my other job, thank you for your leadership in the state of Rhode Island with the business community during your tenure at Hasbro. In my full-time job as a labor official, we know that if there's a strong business community, in a state, then the labor unions will always do well. So thank you, Alfred.
Thank you, Armin. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next issue on the agenda is the search update for the vice president.
Hey, Armin.
Communication. Yes?
Can I ask you to do me a favor and do the vote, the quorum, because I'm supposed to be in a different committee right now. Do you mind?
Okay, we can go back. The first vote we need to take is a vote to accept the agenda for today's meeting. The chair will entertain that as a motion.
So move, Benito and Jesse.
Second, Nicolado.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Abstentions? Okay, the yeses have it. Second order of business that we need to vote on is to accept the minutes of the previous meeting dated January 20th, 2022. Do I hear that as a motion?
This is Courtney, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Benito and Jesse, second.
Thank you. All in favor, say yes.
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 Okay, opposed, no. Abstentions? Hearing none. Both motions passed. Thank you, Margot.
Thanks, Armin.
The next order of business is again, an update on the search update for the Vice President of Communications and Marketing. Our chair, Christine Heenan, sits on that, search committee. She's left me some notes to put our committee up to date. The glasses on. The university is conducting a national search for a vice president for communications and marketing, a position that will report to the president. As a key member of the president's leadership council, the vice president will provide strategic directions for the university's internal and external marketing communications. Applications closed on April 8th. A search committee led by Jen Ryan, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, met April 14th and has reviewed more than 60 applications for the position. An initial group of qualified candidates will be interviewed virtually next week. From that group, the university will invite finalists for on-campus interviews. As we always keep it open, there will be opportunities for stakeholders in the university community to meet with the finalists in the next few weeks. So that's the update on the search for that position. Are there any questions regarding the search for that vice president for communications and marketing? Okay, hearing none. Does anyone have anything they want to add before I move to close the meeting? All right, hearing none, a motion is in order to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear that as a motion?
So move, Benito and Jesse.
Courtney
Okay,
Nicolado,
second.
second.
Thank you. All in favor, say yes.
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 Anyone want to say no? No abstentions? Okay, the motion
I
passed.
don't think technically we can adjourn because Margot left.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-oh, get it back quick.
we're gonna have to stay here for a while.
No, we can adjourn. The lawyer says we can adjourn.
I read those files.
We'll have to do that the next meeting then.
Thanks, Armin.
See you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you guys